When you want a gaming monitor with brilliant image quality and a really fast refresh rate, but you don't want it to eat up all your limited desk space, what's the next thing you buy? How about a 4K OLED display with fantastic HDR and a razor-sharp image in a delightfully reasonable 27-inch package? This is the Dell Alienware AW2725Q. Hey folks, it's me, tech enthusiast and dachshund dad, Unboxer of Worlds. And today, I'm reviewing this killer gaming monitor from Dell. The Alienware AW2725Q is my very first OLED monitor, and like a lot of folks, I spent countless months watching reviews of OLED gaming monitors and asking myself, can they really be as good as everyone else says? So is it that good? Is it worth the premium price and potential drawbacks that come with owning an OLED gaming monitor? Well, that's what I'm going to try and address in today's review. So this is a 27-inch 4K 240Hz gaming monitor. And I give Dell extra points for pairing this monitor with a compact, relatively flat stand. My previous monitor had this gigantic stand that really irked me because it didn't fit on my desk right. But I find the stand on this Dell Alienware monitor to be just right for my space. The stand is compact and sturdy, but if you want a little bit more flexibility, there is a 100 by 100 VESA mount on the back of the monitor. When it comes to the design of this monitor, Dell is embracing a simple, classy design language. Dell calls this look AW30, a reference to 30 years of Alienware products. It's a pretty sleek monitor, with slim bezels on the sides of the screen and a slightly larger chin at the bottom. The back of the monitor has this rounded shape to it, so it's probably not the thinnest OLED monitor you can buy, but it looks mature, confident, dare I say, professional. The only really gamery touch is this RGB alien head on the back of the monitor, which you can control through the OSD. One thing that's unique about the AW2725Q is that this monitor is not black in color. It's actually a deep blue called interstellar indigo. I really dig it. It looks super simple, but awesome at the same time. The stand has a channel in it for cable management, and when it comes to adjustability, you have some control over height, pivot, tilt, and swivel. And I don't know if I'm announcing these adjustments in the same order that I'm awkwardly doing them on screen. You can even use this monitor in vertical orientation, but I'm not going to do that because I don't want to have to remove all these lovely cables I have plugged in, but at least it's a good excuse for me to segue into covering port selection. So you have one DisplayPort 1.4 with display stream compression, two HDMI 2.1 ports, and one of those has eARC for Dolby Atmos signal pass-through. You've got one USB Type-B upstream port, three USB Type-A downstream ports, and a single USB-C downstream port with power delivery up to 15 watts. Most of these ports are in the back of the monitor, but some of them are located under the front. Dell includes a DisplayPort cable, a USB Type-A to Type-B cable, an HDMI cable, in addition to the power cord. Dell even throws in a microfiber cloth, which is just Dell-lightful. Oh, and we can't forget about this Alienware sticker. Now, I don't personally use stickers, but if you use stickers, tell me all about it in the comments. One port you will not find on this monitor is a headphone jack. And that was a bit of a bummer for me because I couldn't hook up my wired speakers. But luckily I figured out what eARC is and I was able to use that HDMI 2.1 port with eARC to hook up a soundbar and subwoofer combo. And because this monitor does support Dolby Atmos pass-through, I'm really eager to check out some 4K Blu-rays when I'm not slaughtering zombies in my post-apocalyptic gaming franchises of choice. There's a small joystick under the monitor that'll give you control over the on-screen display where you can toggle through the various picture adjustments and all the various flavors of HDR included in this monitor. You've also got picture-in-picture, picture-by-picture, and gamer features like a crosshair and control over that RGB alien on the back of the monitor. Not you, you're a different alien. Get back to your hive. Mwah. Also, you're not restricted to only using the OSD. You can also use Dell's Alienware Command Center to control monitor settings right from your computer. Now, full disclosure, at the time of making this video, I have not personally tested the Alienware Command Center, so your mileage may vary, but it is another option you have. So let's talk about the screen size a little bit. This is a 27-inch monitor. A lot of 4K monitors, and certainly a lot of 4K OLED monitors, are available in 32-inch screen sizes. So you are losing a bit of screen real estate here, but you are getting something pretty cool in the trade-off. Folks, the sharpness of this display is bonkers. The AW2725Q has a pixel density of 166 pixels per inch, which makes everything ridiculously crisp. I know my cell phone camera isn't really going to do this monitor justice, but just take a look at this guy's vest in the Days Gone remaster. This is the sharpest screen I have ever had on a gaming monitor, and that sharpness also lends itself to excellent text quality. Some reviewers have criticized OLED monitors for not having great text clarity, especially in resolutions like 1440p, but I haven't had that problem with this 27-inch 4K OLED monitor. I think the text quality is pretty comparable to a similarly spec'd out LCD screen. So whether I'm typing up scripts for my videos or screaming into the uncaring void of social media, the text I type looks great on this screen. Speaking of my YouTube channel, Unboxer of Worlds has been around since October of 2020, and I would absolutely love it if you would subscribe to my channel, check out some of my other videos, or even consider becoming a part of Unboxer World with my newly launched channel memberships, where you can get your name listed at the end of my videos or even join Unboxer Universe, where I'll have occasional members-only videos. This monitor is not only sharp, it's also fast. It's got a 240 Hz refresh rate with a 0.03 millisecond gray-to-gray response time, whatever that means. Sorry, I'm not really the most technical YouTuber out there. I don't even know how this UFO test works, but every other monitor reviewer uses it, so I figured I'd give it a try. Oh well. Now just bear in mind, since this is a 4K monitor, it might be difficult to hit 240 frames per second, depending on what your GPU and PC setup is and what games you're playing. I'm personally not huge into the multiplayer scene. You're more likely to find me playing an immersive single-player story-driven game, and for those experiences, I personally favor image fidelity over blistering speed. And one of the biggest things this monitor adds to that visual experience is fantastic HDR performance. This is a VESA Display HDR True Black 400 monitor, and since this is an OLED screen, it has per-pixel local dimming, where it can turn off individual pixels, so blacks are incredibly deep, and the monitor can effortlessly display those super dark colors next to very bright colors, and so you get this image where everything just really pops and looks incredible. I guess that's the whole idea behind HDR. And unlike a lot of other gaming monitors on the market, the AW2725Q gives you the option to use Dolby Vision HDR. So you have options like using Dolby Vision Dark, Bright, or Game, and you can also turn the Dolby Vision HDR off and use Smart HDR instead, and there's all sorts of options there too. Movie HDR, Game HDR, Custom Color HDR, Display HDR True Black, HDR Peak 1000, or just turn the HDR off altogether. Now folks, I'm going to be completely honest with you. I don't know what any of that means. I couldn't tell you the difference between one version of HDR and another. I just know I've experimented with all of them, and all of them look really damn good on this screen. Just check out some of the opening of Days Gone Remastered. The colors and the crispness of this display really make an incredible image. Even bright scenes like this landscape in Horizon Zero Dawn are really vibrant and beautiful. This monitor also has a glossy screen coating, so when you combine the vibrant HDR with the sharp 4K details and you view it all through this glossy screen, there's this feeling of depth and immersion that you really have to see in person to appreciate. Again, my camera is probably doing a really poor job of capturing it, but these crackling torches in the Resident Evil 4 remake are searingly bright in person, and the details are all there even in the brightest parts of that fire. Nothing gets lost in that brightness. I can see all the nuance, and it's really beautiful. But It's not life-changingly beautiful. At the end of the day, this is still just a monitor, and you really need to ask yourself, is it worth the price tag to take that step into OLED territory? The AW2725Q retails for $899, nearly $1,000. That's definitely a lot of money. But believe it or not, this monitor is actually less expensive than a lot of competing 27-inch 4K OLEDs. Now, I got very lucky, and I found this monitor on a great sale through Dell's website, and when combined with a coupon code, I literally saved hundreds of dollars on the price. I personally don't have any regrets about buying it, but it is still an expensive monitor, and there are many cheaper alternatives out there, even some cheaper OLED alternatives, especially if you're willing to look at 1440p resolution instead of 4K. I might as well take a few moments here to talk about some of the other potential drawbacks to using an OLED monitor. First, we've got the elephant in the room, and that is that OLED monitors come with a risk of permanent burn-in. Now, this is mostly a problem if you're going to have a lot of static images on your screen for hours at a time, like taskbars or menus. So using an OLED monitor long-term for productivity work or video editing may or may not be the best course of action. Now, I've been using this monitor for a variety of purposes: video editing, writing, web surfing, watching movies, and of course, gaming. And I've been using the monitor for all of these things for about 5 months now, and I've got to say, I personally see no signs of burn-in yet whatsoever. But of course, I don't know what the future holds. I don't know what the long-term lifespan of this monitor will be. But I would kind of guess that if you're going to be using this monitor primarily for watching movies or, of course, gaming, where there's constant movement and change on the screen, you might get a little bit more longevity out of it than someone who's using it for office work all day long. But at the same time, when you're playing games, you got to worry about those status bars and your heads-up display and whatnot. It's kind of a mixed bag, and ultimately, your results and mileage may vary. Now, Dell does include some burn-in mitigation features. Apparently, the monitor incorporates a graphite sheet to dissipate some heat, along with some venting on the back of the monitor, which helps to keep the temperatures down a bit and extend the life of that screen. There's also a pixel refresh mode that's supposed to run when the monitor hasn't been used for a while. And there is active cooling in this monitor. Now, I haven't really noticed any significant noise coming from that active cooling, but I've read that some other people do hear it, so it's another case where your mileage may vary. Now, awesomely, Dell offers a 3-year warranty with the AW2725Q, and that warranty includes burn-in protection. So that's good to hear. I take a few little precautions when I'm using this monitor. I'll have the taskbar vanish when my mouse is not down there. I'll have the screen turn off if I haven't used it in a few minutes. I don't know how much any of that helps, but it does make me feel a little better, and again, after about 5 months of use, I have not seen any signs of burn-in yet. Some other considerations: there are different kinds of OLED technology out there. Some of them are known as WOLED panels. This one here is a QD-OLED panel. And apparently, QD-OLED panels, their black colors can take on a bit of a purple tinge depending on the lighting in your environment. I haven't personally noticed this at all on this monitor, but maybe you will, who knows. And also, this monitor does have a glossy screen coating, and while I think it looks great, just remember that glossy screens can be kind of reflective. So if that's a concern of yours, you might want to look for a monitor that has a matte coating on its screen. Screen concerns aside, a couple of other things you might get hung up on: if you're looking for built-in speakers, you're not going to find that here. There's no built-in KVM switch, no headphone jack. So if those are really important features to you, you might need to look for a different monitor. I think for a lot of people, the biggest make or break about this monitor is going to be the screen size. You know, as I've said, the 4K on this 27-inch screen is incredibly sharp and nice to look at, but 4K still looks great on 32-inch screens, and having that extra screen real estate really does have an appeal, especially when you want to be really immersed in the games you're playing. So, should you buy the Alienware AW2725Q? I think it's largely down to what sort of experience you want out of a gaming monitor. If you want stellar HDR and scalpel-sharp image clarity on a screen that's fast enough for competitive gaming, I think you're going to be very happy with this monitor. Just understand it's a premium device and it comes with a premium price. And you can still have a great gaming experience with less expensive monitors or even non-OLED options. But you're going to be hard-pressed to find one with the same HDR performance you'll get from an OLED. Do your homework, see what's out there, and if possible, I highly recommend getting in front of one of these screens in person at a store to experience it in the real world. For me, I was ready to take the plunge into OLED, and I am glad I made that decision. I'm also glad you stuck it out this far into the video. Consider subscribing, stay tuned for other stuff I've got in the pipeline, and have a great holiday season, a happy new year, and as always, I'll catch you later.